In the United States, a chemical once linked to kidney tumors in lab rats is still hiding in your sandwich bread, while Europe banned it decades ago. Americans get 14 ingredients in a typical loaf. British families get 4 ingredients. Could our daily staple be silently risking our children's health? The story behind this bread additive is bigger and more alarming than the label suggests. Potassium bromate did not enter American kitchens by accident. It was introduced to industrial bread making in the 1910s, a time when bakeries were under pressure to churn out softer, fluffier loaves faster than ever before. Commercial bakers needed a shortcut. Potassium bromate became their secret weapon. It acts as a powerful oxidizer, forcing dough to rise higher and hold its shape on factory lines. The result, bread that looks perfect on supermarket shelves and survives days in a plastic bag without going stale. But this convenience comes at a cost hidden in plain sight. Most shoppers never read past the front of the bag. Flip over a loaf of classic American white bread, and the ingredient list sprawls across the label. Flour, water, sugar, yeast, salt, potassium bromate, vital wheat gluten, dough conditioners, emulsifiers, preservatives, ascorbic acid, oil, and high fructose corn syrup, sometimes even more. 14 ingredients, sometimes more, just to make something as basic as a sandwich loaf. Each additive has a technical purpose to speed up production, extend shelf life, or guarantee a uniform crumb. Potassium bromate is just one of the chemical names buried in the fine print, but it is the one banned in over 30 countries. Now, compare that to a typical loaf of bread from the UK. The label is almost bare. Flour, water, yeast, salt. 4 ingredients. Nothing extra, nothing you cannot pronounce. No flour improvers, no oxidizers, no preservatives banned by European regulators. The difference is not just a matter of taste or tradition. In the US, bread has become a kind of engineered product, loaded with chemicals to meet the demands of mass production and long-distance shipping. In the UK and most of Europe, bread is still treated as food, not a science experiment. This ingredient overload is not just a quirk of American food culture. It is a direct result of industrial priorities, efficiency, shelf stability, and profit, taking precedence over simplicity and safety. Potassium bromate survives on U.S. shelves because it helps factories make more bread, faster, with less risk of a collapsed loaf. But the price is paid by families who never realize what is hiding in their daily staple. Every time a parent makes a sandwich, they are trusting that long list of chemicals is safe, while European regulators decided decades ago that some risks simply are not worth taking. The next time you reach for a loaf, look at the label. 14 ingredients, or 4. The answer could be the difference between a meal and a chemical experiment, and the story behind that label is only beginning to unravel. In 1982, a team of Japanese scientists led by Dr. Y. Kurokawa published a study that would haunt the food industry for decades. They fed potassium bromate to laboratory rats over the course of nearly 2 years, and the results were not subtle. Rats exposed to the chemical developed tumors in their kidneys and thyroid glands at rates far above the control group. In male rats, more than 80% developed kidney tumors. Female rats showed similar patterns with a surge in both kidney and thyroid cancers. These weren't minor abnormalities. These were aggressive, malignant growths appearing in animals that had never before shown such vulnerabilities. Kurokawa's team went further, dissecting not just the tumors but the chemical's mechanism. Potassium bromate, they found, acts as a genotoxic agent. It doesn't just irritate tissues or cause inflammation. It attacks DNA directly. The process is called oxidative damage. Potassium bromate generates highly reactive molecules that slice into the genetic code, creating errors and mutations. Over time, these mutations accumulate, turning healthy cells into cancer cells. This is not theoretical. In the Kurokawa study, the link between exposure and tumor formation was clear, direct, and repeatable. Later research confirmed the pattern. The higher the dose, the more likely the rats were to develop cancer. Independent scientists have sounded the alarm for decades. Professor Eric Millstone of the University of Sussex put it bluntly, "There is evidence that it may be toxic to human consumers and that it may initiate or promote the development of tumors." The International Agency for Research on Cancer classified potassium bromate as a possible human carcinogen, Group 2B. The mechanism, oxidative DNA damage, means that even small repeated exposures could, in theory, set the stage for cancer over a lifetime. These findings forced regulators in Europe, Canada, and dozens of other countries to take action. They looked at the rat data, the genotoxicity, the mounting scientific warnings, and decided it was not worth the risk. In the United States, the Food and Drug Administration acknowledged the evidence but allowed the chemical to remain, arguing that proper baking should eliminate any dangerous residue. But the science is clear. The risk isn't hypothetical. It is written in the DNA of every lab animal exposed to potassium bromate. And for American families, that risk is still baked into their daily bread. In 1990, European regulators drew a hard line. After reviewing animal studies and mounting evidence of DNA damage, the European Union and the United Kingdom banned potassium bromate from all food products. Their decision was swift and uncompromising. No chemical linked to cancer would be allowed in bread, no matter how convenient it was for industry. Canada followed in 1994, Brazil in 2001, and China in 2005. India, Nigeria, Sri Lanka, the list kept growing. Today, more than 30 countries outlaw potassium bromate in bakery goods, treating any detectable residue as a public health threat. Yet, in the United States, the official position barely budged. The Food and Drug Administration, known as the FDA, set its policy in 1973, allowing potassium bromate as long as bakers kept residues low and claiming that heat would break down the chemical during baking. That standard remains on the books, unchanged for over 50 years. FDA officials have rarely spoken publicly about the issue, even as international agencies classified potassium bromate as a possible human carcinogen. The agency's silence stands in stark contrast to the decisive bans overseas. California carved its own path, adding potassium bromate to its Proposition 65 list in 1991 and requiring cancer warning labels on any product containing it. But at the federal level, the FDA still relies on the same outdated rationale. If manufacturers follow the rules, the risk is minimal. Meanwhile, European regulators and independent scientists insist that even trace amounts are too dangerous to ignore. The result is a regulatory divide that leaves American families exposed to a chemical considered too risky for bread in most of the world. A team of independent scientists set out to answer a question American regulators have dodged for decades: how much potassium bromate is really left in the bread on our shelves. They designed a blind test, collecting 25 of the most popular bread products from supermarkets, fast food chains, and bakery aisles across the country. Each loaf, bun, and roll was coded and shipped to an ISO 17025 certified lab, where technicians used high-performance liquid chromatography to hunt for traces of the chemical. The detection limit was set at 10 parts per billion. Anything above that would be flagged for further scrutiny. Chain of custody logs tracked every sample from store to lab, closing the loopholes that industry lobbyists have leaned on for years. Some brands have already switched to ascorbic acid, a simple vitamin C derivative that strengthens dough without leaving behind a carcinogen. The switch costs pennies per loaf, but industry groups argue that potassium bromate delivers a more reliable rise and longer shelf life. In the UK and Europe, bakers have managed just fine without it for over 3 decades. The proof is on every label: 4 ingredients, no chemical warnings, no cancer risk. California took a stand in 1991, forcing any product with detectable potassium bromate to carry a cancer warning under Proposition 65. But outside that state, the FDA's silence has left families in the dark. For many, the first warning comes not from regulators, but from parents. One mother, reading the fine print on her child's sandwich bread, put it simply: "If Europe will not allow this in their bread, why should we?" She started checking every label in the pantry, and now so do her friends. Right now, American shelves still offer bread with an additive banned in over 30 countries. As U.S. regulators defer, families face choices Europe already made. Every sandwich is a silent vote, demanding change or accepting risk. What will you choose for your table? Share your thoughts below.